It's pretty rare that I have an instant yes, but this is one of those times. Have you ever had a moment where you just you're going on a course with crochet and you have plans and you're like, I want to do this and this and this and this, and you're like, there's not enough time in the day. And then something comes along and it just hauls all your plans over to the side because you have to drop everything and make this thing. Well, that's what happened. Today is August 22nd, 2025, and I'm putting a timestamp here because I just got the most fantastic email from a friend of the channel. Her name is Robyn, aka Crochet Jolly, and she emailed me, she asked if I would test a pattern for her. I have never had the joy of testing a pattern, but I'm really excited to do so. And I emailed her back immediately, like I would love to. And is there a time frame? But I do want to, even though there's other things that I really want to work on, I do want to honor her and just get straight on into it. So I need 3 colors. It is for a little amigurumi cat who is super cute. I'm going to have the picture right here. And yeah, I grabbed my bag of DK weight wool and also my more floor weight wools. And so I've decided that these are the colors I'm going to use. I have this bit of this really gorgeous hand-dyed yarn that I got from a little yarn shop that no longer exists anymore. But I think as I'm looking at the picture that's behind my camera right now, this would be the perfect ginger kind of cat color. It has so much depth in that. So I'm going to use this color, and then I'm going to use this kind of aqua blue. Don't you think that'll be beautiful as the main body? And then I'm going to use this green as an accent. So I think the 3 of those together, I think it tells a fun story that's kind of full of joy, but also somewhat autumnal. And I think it's really going to be beautiful. Now, quickly though, I could, instead of doing this blue, I could do this one instead. Yeah, but I really do like this tone here. I think these 2 together are really beautiful. I think there's a nice contrast here, but they also kind of speak to each other. Yeah, so this is going to be my color palette, and I'm going to go ahead and grab a hook and see if I can get going on this bit of crochet. She said I could have until the end of September. I'm going to try to get this done earlier than that. Again, I'm going to just kind of haul everything over and see if I can really bust this out. Again, I've never pattern tested before, so I'm really honored and I'm super excited. And by the time you're seeing this, the process is already done, so you already know the end from the beginning better than I do now. But yeah, I'm going to jump off here and I'm going to go get started. Hey folks, today is the morning of August 23rd, and I'm just doing a little check-in on this pattern testing that I'm doing. I made it through round 20 of the pattern, and so far so good, but I wanted to show you guys my progress. Does this happen with you guys when you are making amigurumi, that you just kind of get everything kind of spiraling up on itself? And a lot of times I think it works out in the stuffing. Also, do you wait until the end to sew in your ends? Here's why I wanted to do a little check-in. I think, because I'm going to be out and about today, but I think I'm actually going to do a little bit of soaking. I'm going to put what I have so far into some cold water just for a few minutes and then wring it out and almost block it and see if I can help get that twist out. Now I am going to sew in the ends before I do that, but since I'm using wool, I think that maybe doing a little bit of blocking at this stage before I start stuffing it, maybe that's going to give me an easier time so it doesn't have that kind of twist effect. Looks like you're kicking a soccer ball. So yeah, I'm going to go do that process, and I will check back in with you and let you know how that all goes, and then I'll be continuing this pattern. So far, so good. Thank you again, Robyn, for inviting me in on this process. I'm loving it, and you can see the scale so far. It's gonna be a wee little thing, but I really love it. And again, such a joy to be working on this. Y'all, it's the next day, and this is how my blocking turned out. So I did just wet it down briefly. I squeezed out the water, and then I tacked it onto a foam board, and then I set that up with a box fan and just let that run until it was dry. You can see that it now kind of has like a fold, but that's so much better than having a twist. I don't think it's like significantly dried small, like it didn't shrink at all. But I think I am pretty glad that I went ahead and did that. And I do have it marked where I last worked. So at this point, I'm going to keep working on this little cat, and I will catch up with you at the next like stopping point in the process. Hey folks, it is the next day, and I just wanted to show how far I've come on my cat, because I am going to have some moments today where I'm like sitting in the car and waiting. So I wanted to make sure that I show the progress. I got all the way up to the rest of the body, and I did the ruffle here, and I'm telling y'all, I was so determined to finish this ruffle last night. Now, a lot of y'all, if you've watched any of my tutorials or anything like that, you know that when I learned to crochet, it was way before YouTube, and I learned to yarn over from front to back. So what that means is when I'm doing like amigurumi, it makes those X stitches, but when I'm doing something larger, like a longer stitch, that can get kind of cumbersome. And what I realized I had to do to make this ruffle was to actually go back and yarn over from back to front the way that is standard in crochet, and that made it a whole lot simpler. So it was one of those things where it was taking me time just because of my little like quirky way that I yarn over. But yeah, I did get the ruffle all the way done, and I'm really excited. I think right now the next thing I need to do is finish off the head, and then I just have like arms and some details to do, and I will be done with this sweet little cat. You can see too that I've already sewn in my ends, which is something again I tend not to do until the very end, but here we are making an exception. So I will catch up with you at the next big junction on this pattern. As you can imagine, number one, time has passed, and number two, I do not have that sweet little cat to show you guys. It is finished, but as I was working on it, you know, sometimes when you start making a project and you don't really know who it's for, but then in the middle of it, it becomes really clear and you're like, oh, I know who this is for. So I had finished the cat and I was trying to hurry to finish it in order to give it to her when I saw her next. And it was the funniest thing. When we got together, she said, oh, hey, I made something for you. And then here I was knowing that I had made something for her. So she does a lot of different creative things. You heard her voice in the video there. But she made me this beautiful bracelet that I just love. And it even has a little vintage button there. You guys know my love for vintage buttons. So she presented me with that little bracelet, and then I presented her with the cat all wrapped up, and then we took some pictures together. So it ended up being such a joyful thing. And I just love that we both had this moment of like, oh, I'm going to make something for my friend. So that cat went to a good home, and it is being enjoyed and treasured as a little mascot for this season of life that my friend and I are in together. So yes, what did I think? Final thoughts on the whole pattern testing idea, experience, on the pattern itself. Number one, I absolutely loved that I got to do this. I'm so thankful that I had the time to do it. It was in like a little bit of a moment where I had just a bit of time to take a breath before jumping back off the cliff into the insanity. That is my life. Y'all, I'm sure, can relate. We all have so much on our plates, but sometimes you get these moments where you can breathe for a little bit, and then it's like you take a breath and then you dive back down again. So the timing could not have been better. And thank you again, Robyn, for inviting me to be part of this process with you. I did give some feedback on the pattern itself. Now I used, let's see here. Yeah, I used a vintage size D crochet hook. I think that's 3.25 millimeters. Again, I crochet pretty tightly. And so sometimes I use like maybe a larger size than is called for, just because because I crochet so tightly, that still allows me to work with the yarn. It's a personal preference thing, but I used DK weight yarn, 3-weight yarn throughout. Some of the challenges that I encountered were just, none of the stitch counts were wrong or anything like that. She did a beautiful job of writing out the pattern. And I think the only things that I suggested were just clarifications, things that I kind of knew intuitively since I've done some amigurumi, and I've followed some various patterns from both printed books and also like online. So she was super sweet and receptive. And as of today, the pattern is now available. So I'm going to have that listed in the description box. I'm not sure if it's going to be at Etsy or on Ravelry or quite where she's going to have it, but if there's multiple places that you can go, you can look in the description box, and maybe also I'll have a pinned comment for it too. In terms of Ravelry versus Etsy, y'all, I do not have my finger on the pulse. Robyn, if you have a preference of whether people want to buy your pattern through Etsy or Ravelry or a different thing, just let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll have a pinned comment that says where you can get the pattern, and then if you just reply Robyn underneath that to let people know if you have a preference. So that would be wonderful. Overall, this was a really joyful experience. I love the little cat. I love the details that she included. I love just the way that she approached it. The whole design itself reminded me of like clown costumes, like trick-or-treating from like the 1980s, the kind of vintagey vibes, almost like porcelain doll clowns, but it was such a sweet thing. And it was just made so much more adorable as a cat. I do like the colors that I chose. One thing I will say, for the green color, I used a roving style yarn, and that ended up being a lot more challenging. Maybe it was the treble crochets, or maybe it was the yarn, maybe it was user error. But I would say, I think, I don't know that I've ever really used roving for amigurumi, but I don't know that that's what I'm going to go for in the future. So that's just a small word to the wise there. Not that many people do. But if you were thinking about it, you could just be like, maybe I will reconsider that. Who knows? Or maybe you can experiment and let me know. Do you ever use roving style in amigurumi? And on that note, have you ever pattern tested? Have you enjoyed that process? What's that like for you? How do you decide if you want to pattern test for someone or not? For me, I was able to have a quick turnaround on this, but I do recognize that with pattern testing, sometimes the designers do want kind of a quick turnaround. So as slow crochet, that might not be something I'll get to do much of in the future, but it was a tremendous joy and a tremendous honor. Speaking of joys and honors, y'all, it's been a joy and an honor to spend some time with you today. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thanks for engaging with the channel in all of like the algorithmic ways. I really do appreciate you. And if for whatever reason I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I really do appreciate you. I really do. And I do hope I'll see you again soon. Bye.